who's got something fabulous to share?
I am in my RV. Yeah, right. I am in my RV in Bushnell showing property. We came up here yesterday so I could show a couple of properties and spent the night so we didn't have to drive all the way back home.
Well, that's kind of a fun way.
Yeah.
So you'll do it.
Yep.
So you should do a video about that, Donna, that you'll go above and beyond and just have some fun with it. But wouldn't that be a fun one to put out there? Like I go above and beyond. I'll even
Yep.
drive.
Above and beyond. Whatever it takes. I'll just get in my RV and go. Where do you want to buy something?
I like that. I like that. So, you know, I don't watch the news, and I haven't for so long. I feel like, you know, when I was on like my vacation, I feel like I got on the twilight zone. I didn't know what the rules were. I have been unplugged. It was fantastic. I had no interwebs. Oh, I watched the news last night, and wow, there's some things to share with you. That something happened yesterday that I don't know if you guys understand the impact of it, and I don't know if you know it happened. So I'm just going to show you a headline. Let me screen share. So yesterday, the Prime Minister of Canada said no to come and visit President Trump. And some of you are like, yeah, who cares, President Trump, you might like him or not. But the reason why is Canada is doing really well controlling COVID. I don't know if you guys know that. Canada is kind of the poster child right now. In fact, if you look at what they've got going on, I've got all kinds of pop-up blockers coming on. Let me just see if I can get rid of these real quick so you can see the screen better. This is testing. So we're on track with each other for testing. So it's not like we're just testing more. Canada's actually testing more than we are. However, if you look at the actual cases, you can see the differential. You guys see? Can you guys see my screen? Can I hear from someone?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You can see your screen.
Okay, yeah. Thanks, Michelle. So although we're testing the same, I mean, and let's just be honest, there's a lot of vast areas in Canada where there's like elk. That's it. And snowbanks and water and nature and trees. I mean, it's not as dense, but there's Ontario, there's Toronto. I mean, there's a lot of, they're kind of like mega metros, because there's nothing and then there's a mega metro. So although there's not as many, they're not as many people, where they are packed, they're like little New York cities. You know, so it's not like, oh, it's Canada, there's no people up there and they barely see anyone. It's not that at all. But why does that impact you guys? I just want to talk about this because this is a big deal. This is something that I'm like, uh-oh. Why am I uh-ohing about that? Anyone? Snowbirds, that's my hint. Snowbirds.
Oh, okay.
Whoa, okay. Now, I was talking to my friend in New York that's supposed to come down this weekend or next weekend for scallop season, and they have a home in our neighborhood, and they just turned on another level of quarantine for them. So if they come in to Florida, even though they're in their own hot zone, 14 days they have to stay at home. And it's no longer like, yeah, make sure you stay home for 14 days. In Canada, the police knock on your door every day to make sure you're still home.
Yeah. I have clients from New York that had to cancel their flights in because one of them's a postal worker, and if they found out that she came here to buy a house,
lose her job.
Yep.
So in Canada,
this
go ahead.
Kelly, so I have a couple of quick things. So I own another business, and our products, the company is out of Canada, and it's a weight loss company, and it's products that are shipped out of Canada, and they are not even, if they ship something to us, we are not allowed to even make returns, because they don't want anything coming out of the US back into Canada.
Yeah, and if you actually go to their travel restrictions, it basically says, if you're not a resident here, you're not welcome. Doesn't matter where, nope. So think about that for a second. Now, the other reason I'm bringing this up is, so my friends from New York that were gonna come down, also use their property here in Gulf Harbors as a VRBO, but they have like this long-term relationship with this Canadian family that takes it for a big slot of time. What happened this year, and I didn't realize this happened, so I want to share this with you. This year is they came down, and then as of, I think it was March 20th, they were given orders from Canada, because it's public health care, that if they didn't come back to Canada, they lost their health care privileges.
Yes.
Okay, so just to put that in your head for a second, do you think the snowbirds are coming this year from Canada? Now, there's plenty of other snowbirds. We'll talk about that in a second. But what is the impact of that, of people from Canada coming to Florida this fall and winter and spring?
Yeah, that's going to be gone.
It probably is, especially if their prime minister refuses to come and visit with our president. If their leadership is taking a stance like that, they're not dropping the line. And Kelly, you nailed it. If they won't even receive products back in, right? Like products, not people. They're serious. So think about that, because if your business, oh, look at Juan's dog, how cute. If your business is heavy on snowbirds, I want you to pivot a little, because there's plenty of snowbirds that are coming, but here's the message I'm going to tell you. They might be coming to stay. We're seeing this massive influx from all these other states. And I don't have it up, so I got to try to bring it up. Give me 1 second here. If you go to your command, and I'll take a second to log in just so I can show you this. There's a migration map for you underneath the referral tab. I got to find it, so just give me a sec while I'm looking. I'll talk while I look. But where else do people...
We might have another opportunity too. If these snowbirds can't be coming and staying, they might be selling their properties, which might be good for us, because we
That
might
was
get
my next, exactly, Michelle. So we could go to Remine. We go to Remine and look for out of state. It'll show out of country as well, because those folks, you know, they may have banked on, they bought this property, they rented out part of the year. That probably got really squashed this year. And with the unknown, because they rely on their healthcare. Canadians, I'm having this conversation about Canadians first, because I think that's a special situation. And I'm sorry, my internet, Frontier is really still not functioning at a high level. I don't know if you guys are experiencing that too. It's taking forever to load anything. So be patient with me. I think they're having a company meltdown right now. It's been since Monday. I know I was talking to Barb. I know she was having the problems. I don't know if you guys, other people with Frontier are having it too, but it's like slow-mo. Okay, give me 1 sec here. I want to share my screen. I want to show you on command. You go under referrals, and there's a migration map. So it's pretty cool to see. So I got to just screen share this, right? Let me give 1 second. Sorry, I'm so slow today. I had a morning, a magnificent morning, but I'm, I guess, slow-mo now with this computer. Okay, can you guys see my screen? Can I get a thumbs up or something? Can someone say yes or no?
It just popped. It
Yes.
just popped on. It's
Okay,
there.
so this little,
Yes.
this is the referral tab. So all I am on is command with the referral tab. If you look at map, now this is gonna show, it's gonna take a second to load, where everyone's moving to and from. And you can change the city. So say you want it to be specifically Dunedin or Tarpon Springs or Ozona or Tampa. You can change it to be whatever city you want. And you can zoom in and see where people are coming from and coming to. So you just go under here and look for referral patterns. This is the AI we've been talking about. This is that smart tech we've been talking about. You guys could spend like 14 years of research on the MLS to figure what this thing out just did in like a few seconds. So this is outgoing, and you can also say incoming, and it's loading very slow. So I'm sorry, it's slow-mo. But go check this out, because it'll even show you on the side where they're coming from and where they're going to. And you can reverse this. You can put Toronto in if you wanted, or, you know, Quebec, or wherever you want to, wherever you want to go. But this is some good deep data where you might want to market. So I would take Remind plus this to do a little research if you wanted to kind of take that approach Michelle brought up of, okay, they might be selling. And do we not all need listings right now? Absolutely. Listings are the toughest thing right now to do. So I just wanted to, I didn't know if you guys knew that you had that.
Well, that's really good information. Thank you.
Well, and here's the thing is this thing is getting smarter and smarter and smarter. This command is getting smarter and smarter and smarter. And if you started using it in the beginning, you're kind of like over it. I get it. It's really, I'm on it every day now, and I'm so excited when new things are popping up that it does. So it's finally to a zone of coolness. But the truth is, I want you guys to think about this. If the snowbirds are going to be disrupted, because they are, but I don't think it's like we need to be fearful. We just have to be smart about it, right? Like, just like Michelle brought up, like, but will they sell? Or would they want your help to rent it? Would it be bad to have a conversation with these people and say, hey, what's your plan? How are you? Do you miss Florida? I'm sure they probably would love to have a conversation, right? And so what I would do is just go in with an open approach and just say, hey, I'm just checking in on you because I know that you guys have really tough rules. And they already, so this couple that had rented this property, they literally got down to this property. They paid for the full year, got there, got settled in, and a week later they had to go back to Canada. Otherwise they were going to lose their health benefits. So do you think they're coming down this year? They're probably not even planning on it. Because have things changed enough with COVID that everything's good? No. And now that their leaders are taking such a stand on where they're at versus the US, I feel like you guys need to be aware of this and just be like, okay. Because whenever there's anything that extreme, like a shift like that extreme, there's opportunity and there's reality. So for those of you that may have always said, oh, every spring or fall, or I get at least 2 or 3 deals from Snowbirds coming in, and I, you know, would even just throw a Craigslist ad about short-term rentals, and I'd pick up a bunch of inquiries, and I'd talk to them and find out what they really needed. That might not be available, but yet if you did some smart marketing through Facebook, you could target Canada, like Quebec, Toronto, or whatever areas you want. I just know that's where a lot of them come from because Wisconsin's like practically, you know, Quebec and Toronto. And so when I moved down here, they thought I was from Canada, probably because of the way I spoke. So, so just keep that in mind with your business. Now, let's talk about the flip side. What about all the snowbirds that are from the US? They're probably coming early. That's the word on the street. Because the restrictions might get heavier and heavier and heavier the closer we get to like the parent's second, you know, rise of this. And if you look, New Jersey, New York, I think Connecticut, I saw some of this on the news last night, and some of you may know more than I do, have now that travel restriction, if you go to Florida, of 14 days. They took the Canada stance that you must quarantine for 14 days. And I don't know what all states that includes, because I didn't take enough time this last night to do any more research than what I saw. However, if today, while things are kind of like ebbing and flowing with COVID, kind of like we're in the kind of like in a mid area, we're like a level yellow or orange, not red, in terms of how the restrictions are. We're not stay-at-home orders, right? We're kind of in the middle. And New York treats us like, if you go there, you have to be home for 14 days. And New York, if they don't defund their police, is thinking of taking the stance of Canada, where they actually knock on your door and make sure you're home. And that if you don't do that, there's stiff fines ahead. So if that happens, if you live in New York and you have interest in coming down here, the chances of you coming sooner before you can't are pretty high if you're a snowbird. So think about that. Like, what would you do with that? Anyone have any ideas?
Well, I think if they're coming down, even if they came at their regular time, I think what would happen is they're just going to be the types that stay longer periods of time and hope and pray that by the time they're ready to go home in May, that things have calmed down.
Yep, exactly. And they might drive versus fly.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
some different things like that. But you know, how are you going to market to that? So I think what I would do is take the approach that Michelle brought up, or Michelle, that was you just talking to, of you know, marketing to the Canadians, like, what's your plan? Do you need it rented? You know, even agree to rent it, build a relationship, you guys. And that's one thing about the Canadians that you work with. They're super loyal people. Once you help one, it's like they send you 3 or 4 or 5 other people. They really are. And yet I would start calling them and ask them, how is this going to affect you? And what's your plan? And how can I help you? How can I help you either rent it, sell it, fill it? Or are you coming down anyway? So
People definitely for sure, the older generations are looking to find the safer havens. My dad and Valerie she owns a place up in Smith Mountain Lake in Virginia, and my dad has a house in Atlanta. Well, they're up at Smith Mountain Lake right now. They've got it on the market, but they're staying up there. My dad just says they feel safer. If you know, they're out in the it's definitely out in the country there, but so they just feel better being there.
well, they're
So
just
it's
not
good.
jam-packed with all these people and all that. So, you know, you just got to think about all this, because every time there is anything like that going on, there is a consequence, but there's also an opportunity. I always look towards the opportunity, because it kind of is a bummer to look at the consequence. Like, darn, you know, we get a lot of business from Snowbirds. Well, we're going to get a lot of business, but the thing I'd want you to think about is domestic versus international. Domestic, they're predicting Florida just gets a tsunami of people moving here. So that's the third thing I wanted to bring up. So Canada might be a bust this year. New York, New Jersey, you know, places that are huge influxes of snowbirds might come early. So we'll call them early snowbirds. How about that? And then you have the third situation of is, okay, who's just coming here permanently because they decided they're over it. And if they're going to get quarantined again, it's not going to be in a little apartment in New York City that's 800 square feet with their 2 kids, their dog. And they intended to move here at some point, but they're like over it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to get a lot of that. So, you know, there's all strategy involved in that. So I want you to kind of marinate on that. And I'm happy to dive deep into that and actually put a 1-3-5 together with you guys. Like, okay, how would you approach all 3 opportunities? But that is typically what makes Florida's market so unique. When I was in the Midwest, if you didn't have your money made, like for the year, by October-ish, you wouldn't got a second job to kind of get you through maybe March or April, like maybe a holiday job or some side gig, because you didn't sell as much over the holidays in the winter months, because no one really wants to buy a house if they can't see the ground and they can't see the roof because it's covered in snow, and they can't see that there's shrubs in front of the house. They just see a big pile of snow. People don't prefer to buy homes like that, only the people that have to. So in most of America, the year looks like this. That's kind of across the nation. If you're above the Mason-Dixon line, pretty much, if you're going to get snow, that's kind of the reality of the market. Here, it's like, you know, because you got the snowbird market, you got the normal market, you got all these other things. So just know that this is a little bit of a disruptor I'm putting my eyes on. And I'd love for you guys to think about how you could capitalize on the opportunity of it. Because yesterday when I saw that on the news, I'm like, whoa. That is an impactor.
Mm-hmm. Well, right now I have an out-of-town buyer that I'm working from New Jersey. The challenge that I'm faced with, though, is houses are going so fast here. Their thoughts were, okay, we're going to look at a few houses, narrow it down, come down on the weekend and pick one and buy it. Well, that isn't happening. By the time they find a house and I go,
Gone.
Yep.
So I have the same issue, and I just had an offer accepted last night that I showed them the house by FaceTime.
Uh-huh.
Showed them the house, they wrote the offer and had the offer accepted. And it was, I mean, it's a new house. It's only 2-year-old house. So, you know, it wasn't a lot different, but this is the second time that I've had offers accepted and on houses that are shown by FaceTime.
I think maybe that's a good panel I could put together, are people that have actually had successful transactions with people that were 100% virtual.
Yep.
What do you guys think?
Yep.
I'll make sure I put that on my radar to do, because here's
So
the
Kelly,
thing.
did I lose a deal to you? Is that what it is?
But you know what, Kelly brings up a really good comment though, is what if you guys marketed that it's okay and it's now the new thing to buy a home sight unseen, and here's how it goes, to take any fear away from someone, be like, I can't imagine doing that, and maybe make it like this happens now. So, and you could do that marketing through Facebook specifically to a group that you pull from Remind that are Canadian VRBO owners. I mean, like, you could be that very specific, couldn't you?
Well, you know, this buyer lost the first home that they really liked. I did FaceTime with them and they were afraid to make an offer. And when they came down on that Saturday, it was gone. So they already knew how fast they go. So the next time they found one, they're like, let's just do FaceTime. If we love it, we'll make an offer. And they did, and it was accepted yesterday. So, I mean, that's definitely the way to go. And I tell people all the time, my personal house that my husband and I bought with him not even seeing it. He didn't see it till closing day.
There you go. Well, you know, that's a good point though, is you may want to actually have a marketing piece saying how to buy a home sight unseen safely.
Now, Jessica, what I did was I just did a virtual tour. I FaceTimed my client and we did put an offer in also. But what I did was, instead of, typically I try to do like a 7 or 10 day inspection period just to keep things rolling. But this one I did a 15-day inspection period and told her to get her butt on an airplane.
And that's a really good point, because a lot of people don't realize that our inspection period works differently than in different states, where they really can back out no matter what within the inspection period.
Well, and
Yeah,
I
and
just
that's
want to,
what
I
I
just
figured
want
was
to, I
like
just
her
want to
safety
warn
net.
you. I just want to warn you, and this is something that at noon today I've got. My panel is people that are listing at extremely high level during COVID, and they're talking about how they're getting the listings and the nuances of carrying these listings and objections and things that they've had to pivot on. So if you need that, join us at noon. And here's the only thing I'll say with these dates and things. And any of the experienced agents that have gone through a couple shift, chirp in if you want to add to this. If I'm a listing right now, am I getting multiple offers typically?
Yes.
And I'm going for the best offer. So if you
Correct.
put too much of an inspection and you slow the deal down too much, you might not get chosen. So you just got to be careful on that. Just be careful on that. Because Donna, what would you add to that?
Oh, I had a question, not necessarily to add, because it's a challenge that I've had. We can't steer or red line, and I sold a house sight unseen to someone who, when they did come down, they loved the house and they did not like the area. How are we getting past that in selling these homes? Or what do we, does anybody have any insight?
I did a tour of the neighborhood. So
That's what I did too, Kelly. I did
a tour of the neighborhood with FaceTime, and then I also sent them neighborhood reports.
Yep.
And so I sent them websites that they could look up neighborhood reports, and then I just did a tour on FaceTime of the actual neighborhood, driving all the way, driving in and driving out.
Did you show, you know, okay, never mind, I'm not even going to ask the question. Okay.
Well, they get a really good idea, not to sound bad, but
you're like, why did you
Donna, unfortunately, you're like coming in like R2D2. I think you got some poor signal there.
what I was just going to say to Donna is, when, like Kelly did, I did the same, you know, drive it through the neighborhood and everything. Thank goodness there were no police around because I had my phone hanging out the window. But it was, if there's cars up on blocks and there's fences that are falling down and it looks rickety, they're going to notice that. I also did what Kelly did, and I sent reports. And the other really good thing is if they go on Google, they can get a street map and they
Yeah,
can
just
kind
gonna say, and here's what I would do for a liability standpoint. I wouldn't do so much. I do what I need to do as a realtor to show them what they need to see and share the amenities, but I give them those resources and recommendations to do and actually sign off, have them sign off that they're gonna do their own homework on the neighborhood, because you don't wanna be steering and you don't wanna be fluffing that neighborhood, that is for sure. And it might be contrived that you like didn't show this side of the car when you're driving by this side of the neighborhood, you only showed the pretty side, you know. So I would almost have like a checklist of recommendations of go to this school site. Who cares if they want to know about the schools? They may not have kids, but what if the school system is horrible and they're worried about resale? Like, you don't want to, I would actually, maybe this is worth us putting a panel together and actually making a suggestion list, because you definitely don't want to be steering them and get in trouble for that or have it be a problem later. And yet at the same time, it'd be really cool to see what some of these top agents in the country are doing that have maybe learned the hard way once or twice. So I'll do my best to put a really powerful panel of agents, maybe not even our own, some agents from a little bit out of our area that you maybe don't know, that are doing this at a high level. I know a couple that are, like Ken Posick out of Orlando is crushing it with this, because it's Orlando, you know, Disneyland, all that, or Disney World or whatever it is. I don't go to that place. But I'll ask him and a couple other people to kind of share, like, how do they handle that kind of stuff? Because you got to watch out for liability too, because you don't want to be overselling the property. And yet you want to make sure they do their own homework. So you might even have a list of things that you think that they should go do to feel good about the neighborhood as well and the surrounding community, and have them sign off that they are committed to doing that on their own. That way you've got arm's length and a good CY, you know what, if they move in and they're like, the neighbors, you know, or the school is horrible here, I didn't even know that, you know.
One other super easy thing to do is set them up a search for everything that's active, pending and sold in the last year around that neighborhood, because then they can kind of poke around the neighbors' houses too.
And you know they'll look at it, right? They're wannabe realtors. They will sit online for 8 hours and look at a link. We know that.
Oh God, yes.
So that's something super easy to do that's within our realm, that puts it back in their hands too.
I think that's a great comment. Yeah.
Would it be a good idea to come up with some kind of disclosure or something for them to sign so that they couldn't come back and try to sue us?
Let's talk to our broker, Howie. Now that Howard's back, yay, Howard's back. I'm going to talk to Howard and see what he thinks. But I'll put something together for this, you guys. It won't be tomorrow because I want to do it really, really good. But I'll get a group. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, you're all talking about FaceTime, you're all iPhone users, but what's the best alternative for an Android? Duo.
And actually Duo works with Android to iPhone too. It's really cool.
Correct.
Duo, it's DUO. It's super easy because it doesn't matter what kind of device you have or they have. So all of you may want to check it out. And you know, one of the best things you can do is ask them. So I'll pretend, Chris, you're the potential buyer. I'll say, Chris, what are you comfortable with? And pivot to what they know. If they're like, oh, I know how to Zoom really good, because you can Zoom from your phone. It's all the same device. Let's just be honest. It's just the same phone. It's just what device is, you know, connecting you to. And so I always suggest asking them what they've used before, because especially if they're a little tech challenged, if they know how to use one thing, now with the exception of if you're Android and they know how to FaceTime. So, and if they do, you say, oh, great, I'm going to Duo you. It's like exactly like your FaceTime. You just click on the button and it's just like we're doing FaceTime. But because I have an Android, it works. And that's a really great way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I use WhatsApp. I did the same thing. I asked them what they were comfortable with, and I offered Duo, and they said, well, we have WhatsApp. Okay, fine, boom, done. Did WhatsApp, and
yep, I'm gonna put these in. Let's put in a chat what you're using. WhatsApp, Duo.
WhatsApp, Duo.
Zoom, Facebook. You can downline, FaceTime. Can't you do something on Facebook?
Yes, you can do it on Facebook Messenger. You can make the call and make it a video call.
You could go do Google Hangouts. I don't do that, but I know you can.
Mm-hmm. Of course,
anyone
Zoom.
else use anything else? Okay, well, that's about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Jess, I use something a little bit different. So
Geez,
I
of course you
actually,
do. You use probably the coolest thing ever, and we want to hear about it because you're the
no,
snickiest
but
girl I know.
I use, oh, here we go. I actually make a Facebook group for the client. And that way the video gets saved in there and
Oh, and they can show their friends.
they can show people and then they can revert back to it if they had questions about what they were seeing or what was that in the bedroom corner or something like that. So I like it because it saves it. And I have heard, I don't do this, but I have heard also, you can also just go live on Facebook just to that Facebook friend. And by doing that, you're getting them to be your Facebook friend, which some of you might not want that. I like that. But so then you're getting that extra connection with them as well, because they have to Facebook friend request you for you to show them the live video, and it just is seen to them. Yet, if there was a husband, there was other people involved. So I've been doing this, and there's 3 families buying one house. So they're not together. And so that's why we do it in the group so that they can just go in and they can all watch it.
I love that idea just from a liability standpoint, that they could watch the video over and over again. It wasn't too fast, or they couldn't say, well, Margaret didn't show me the garage all the way and I didn't see there was a bit of mold in the left corner, you know, like, you know how it is, right? We get scrutinized, fair? I really like that. And here's the thing is, when you're showing, you're not selling that house, you're showing every element of the house. Look at that crack in the floor. Look at this. You know, you're not like over glorifying again. It's not like it's your show pony. You're like, oh, there's nothing to look at over here with this giant crack in the wall. You're like, oh boy, there's a crack. I just wanted you to see that. You know, so, and then I like how you have that for history. So if you ever had an issue and you ever got in a predicament, you could show that video of you being so obvious about every little thing that you saw. And again, you're their eyes and ears, aren't you?
Yeah.
Cool. These are all good ideas, you guys.
I had something come up the other day that a buyer was insisting that the property be sanitized before cleaning, not just like, okay, it was swept clean as the contract might say, but they're insisting that the sellers sanitize it for COVID. Anybody come up with anything that, and what would that exactly look like?
Well, I'm going to just tell you, in one of our other offices, we had a COVID concern. And so the building was sanitized and it cost $7,000. So
Well,
I don't know when they say sanitize what their expectations are or what a company would be. And what I would do is find out what one of those companies, you know, have it bid out. But then I would say, you know, typically a seller's not required to do this. And, you know, maybe they want to do that for their own well-being before they move in. But yet I would say if you get a bid, that's probably going to kill the deal. I don't know. I don't know. But you know what? I would go get the bid.
It could be something.
What was that, Chris?
I talked to ServicePro and they said $495, and I'm like, wow. But then he said, hey, what do you think if we had something that I talked to your company and I sold you a voucher for $250 and you could put that in as a value-added proposition that you would have, you know, and it's worth $495, that you could tell your seller you would have that, give it to them or whatever.
You know, Chris, that's not a bad idea, and I'm happy to distribute that to all of you guys. So if that's going to benefit you, just have ServicePro call me and I'll agree to that. I mean, it's just a certificate that you guys can choose to or not use. But for someone that's really afraid or concerned, but let's just be honest, who wouldn't want a deep clean like that of the house they're about to move into? I would pay for that, I guess.
And us saying that we have resources, if that's a concern for them, that are reasonable, you know, reasonably priced. I think that's a value add too.
Well, and just be careful, you're getting a certified actual COVID cleaning company, not a cleaning company that just can clean really good. You got to get like a certificate with it. There's more to it. So just make sure that if you're going to look into this, you're looking to like a ServicePro, which is a nationally recognized company that does this. Not some guy that cleans houses that says it's really clean, because you can't prove it.
It sounds like overkill to me, because, you know, we don't know a lot of things.
Well, that's how you feel, Chris, and I'd say just be aware, because when I boarded the plane from Minneapolis to Tampa, that they announced that the plane had been fogged. And there was 2 families that wanted proof of it before they got on the plane. And they went up to the podium to see the certificate. So that's how they felt. And so we got to put our feelings in the pocket and be like, just aware of all people on the spectrum of feelings and fear and not caring and all that. Cause it's all over, everyone's everywhere. But yet I think that's, a smart idea. And actually I thought it'd be a lot more than that. So, and I'm sure certain level sizes of houses, they'd have to charge more, but that's not that bad actually, to give peace of mind. Let's be honest.
Right.
Well,
Go ahead.
5,000 square feet. So I go, that's a pretty big
That's a
range.
big house.
100 square foot property or 5,000 is the same price, but that could be negotiated, I suppose.
Yeah, I would actually be interested in that information. So if you wouldn't mind connecting me with that guy or even shooting me an email, I appreciate it.
yeah, as a listing, that's a value add and another quote unquote justification for the 6%. Now,
Yeah, I mean, it's actually, that's a good trade. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad idea. And some of you might think that's just insane, but remember it's who you're dealing with. And I'm 5 minutes over, but we had such a great talk today. It was totally worth it. So Snowbirds, think of your strategy around it, because they're probably like this. What am I going to do? I want to go to Florida, right? I want to be in Florida. I don't want to be in the snow. I don't want to get stuck up here. And my in-laws are already talking to it about us because they don't want to get stuck either, but they don't want to go on an airplane. And so they're trying to talk my sister into driving them. So I know they're talking about it because my in-laws are. So think about that. How are you going to communicate with them? How are you going to get in front of them? Would you go to Remine and do a Facebook ad targeted to them with a video, or would you call them, or would you all the above, or send an email? Just an idea, another idea out there. Again, if that's something that you don't really rely on or focus on for your business, focus on what you do focus on. But for those of you that do, I just wanted to make you aware that the Snowbirds are coming, but it'll be different this year, and we've got to be ready. Have a powerful day. Ooh, one last thing, blood drive. Tisa, do you have any idea if we're at near capacity? Because I had a lot of people ask if we're at capacity.
We are nowhere near capacity.
Okay,
so
good.
Love everyone to sign up because you get your COVID test, you get a tote bag, and you get to give blood and save some lives.
And are we still allowed to send this out to people in our Facebook just to get people to show up that we know, or is this only us?
Yes. No, it is. Use it as a client event. People are still looking to get tested. I'm in Facebook groups, like local ones. People are like, I want to get tested and there's no place open. Nobody's taking
and to be honest with you, I'm home, you guys, because I traveled and I have a test kit in the mail on its way here because I couldn't get in anywhere to test. I want to make sure I'm safe to be around. And I had to pay $119 to get it shipped. And there's all these rules and all this stuff. And I've got to slam that thing up my own nose. I'm like, ugh. But at any rate, I am paying $119 to make sure I'm safe. If you do give the blood, you get the antibody test. So, and you can actually act like this is your client event. So win-win-win, plus you're supporting the community and they need blood desperately. So if you yourself cannot give blood, please promote this.
Where's the info on that blood drive?
It's
there is it's all on our Facebook group. You can find all the details, all the links, everything's posted in the Clearwater group.
I'll repost it personally, Chris, but it's not shareable. That's the only thing, because it's a private group. That's the only thing that's challenging about the Facebook event. You can't really share it. So Tisa, is there a better way to share it?
Well, what I did is I just copied everything and created my own event.
Oh, so you just named it the Tisa Dixon Blood Drive. Love it.
Yeah.
That's smart. That's really smart. So you can go do that. But if you're not up for that, I'll post the link personally in just about 10 minutes. And then you can go just take it from there and share from there. Maybe I'll do it from the Clearwater page. So it shows as not me, not my event, but the K2B Clearwater. So that's more tied to your real estate office. So I'll do it from there. I'll figure it out. I'll post it there, Chris. So if you give me a little while, you can share it from there. I care about you guys. So just think about your opportunities, because there's a lot of them. And if you guys need listings at noon today, I've got Vanessa Leonard and Jordan Myers sharing how they're doing so well. How they're doing so well, getting so many listings during this period of time, and all the nuances that they've learned. So noon it is. If you want to jump on, we'll see you there. Otherwise, reach out if there's anything we can do for you. We're here for you. Have a great day.